Hello, church family. Welcome to Wednesday's Daily Manna. So glad to again be joining you. Yesterday, we started our journey in Mark chapter 6, looking at the hometown group that missed out on the Savior, even though he was right there among them. And today, we're going to look at the next group, or rather the individual, that missed out on Jesus, that didn't recognize him for who he was. So we find ourselves today in Mark chapter 6, verse 14. Mark chapter 6, verse 14. And this is what it says. Now King Herod heard of him, for his name had become well known. And he said, John the Baptist is risen from the dead, and therefore these powers are at work in him. Others said, it is Elijah, and others said, it is the prophet, or like one of the prophets. But when Herod heard, he said, this is John, whom I beheaded, and has been raised from the dead. So we see here that Herod doesn't recognize Jesus. He actually thinks Jesus is someone that was dead and now has come to life. Herod was feeling guilt. He was seeing Jesus through the lens of his guilt and what he had done to John. And in our own lives, guilt can be a strong motivator. Guilt can be a factor for how we perform. It can cause us to hide things. It can cause us to look at life through a certain lens. And we can also reflect that and project that onto how we view Jesus. I remember one time when my sister and I were younger, we were jumping on the bed in the house, and we were jumping in the room, and we broke one of the light fixtures that was hanging above. And when we broke it, we said, oh man, we've got to do something, because if our dad or our mom finds this out, we're going to be in trouble. And so we cleaned it up and we hid it a little bit, and we became extra nice that day. We were extra nice. We followed all the rules. We washed the dishes. We swept. We cleaned. We were extra respectful to our parents, doing everything we could so that they wouldn't find out about this broken glass. It was motivated by guilt. And as good as we tried to hide, eventually my mom, my dad, one of them walked into the room, and they found out what we had done. And we got punished, even though we had tried our best to hide our guilt. And is this not how we sometimes live our lives? The guilt that we have experienced, the guilt that we allow to fester in our souls, causes us to hide things. It causes us to push things to the side. And we serve, we do good things, and we do it because we're guilty. We feel the guilt. And this can be how we live our Christian experience. Looking at God, looking at Him, and serving Jesus through and motivated by our guilt. But you see, God did not call us to be guilty. He does not see us just as guilty parties who have offended Him. He sees us through the sacrifice of His Son. Jesus came to die for us. He shed His blood to cover our guilt, to take our pasts and throw them out. He came to establish us in our present and transform our lives in the here and now, and also to guarantee our futures. That's what God has come to do in our lives. And we no longer need to live scared of our past coming back up, worried about what we did yesterday, but we can live in the assurance that God loves us, that He has called us into the light to have fellowship with Him, so that He can transform us through the power of the Holy Spirit. So I encourage you today to not look at God, to not serve Jesus through the lens of guilt, but rather to look through the lens of grace.